I'm a 45-year-old male and I have a niece who's 22 and just got married last weekend. The family is blowing up with drama right now because of what I and my wife did. I must preface this by saying my family can be pushovers. They hate conflict and will let themselves be run over by someone else not to cause a fight. I am not this way. The wedding was on Saturday, Catholic ceremony in a church that was at 3:30 p.m. The reception area was at a brewery about 15 minutes from the church. The reception was set to start at 5. This may be stupid as far as the venue people are concerned, but they wouldn't open the bar or bring the appetizers until the bride and groom arrived. Service ended around 4:30 and everyone was told to go to the reception venue. The wedding party had a limo to take them, and a separate limo took the parents, grandparents and siblings. The couple is young and decided against family and the wedding party. LOL. It was 4 sorority sisters and fraternity brothers on each side. My wife and I drove. We got to the venue around 4:50, with the first family limo arriving around that time. High five, all 150 guests were there, but no bride and groom. The wedding coordinator was getting angry at 5:45, and there was no wedding party. We're all just standing around with no food or drinks. Someone was able to get a hold of the maid of honor around this point, and apparently the bride and groom told the limo driver to stop at a liquor store and then drive around on the highway for an hour so the wedding party could get trashed. At around 6 p.m, the maid of honor said they should arrive in 20 minutes. An hour later, guests were leaving. My wife and I looked at each other and said we were out. We thought it was disrespectful of them to do that to all their guests. I told my brother, father of the bride, that we were leaving and taking the gift with us. He tried to plead by saying, "They're just kids, let them have fun," but I was having none of it. A few days later I got my niece's apology text, followed by an ask for the gift again. I said that I felt disrespected and didn't want to give a gift anymore. She snapped and called me an idiot. Edit, the gift was cash. Not the idiot. Wedding guests are guests and shouldn't be treated so poorly by the wedding organisers, i.e. bride and groom. People took time out of their day and spent money to be there, all for the bride and groom not even to show up, meaning nobody could eat or drink and just had to stand there awkwardly while the bride and groom got trashed. Personally, they're the idiots for me. When I was married many years ago, the wedding party went off with the photographer to take photos after the ceremony, but the guests absolutely had drinks and canapes at the reception venue when they showed up. The fact that you were left without drinks and nibbles deliberately and by order of the bride and groom while they tore around getting soused is just insane to me. How did they not die of mortification? Oh my god, who does this? I gotta love the dad's excuse because they're kids. Dude, they're literally old enough to marry. They're old enough to know you don't keep guests waiting 2 hours plus. If you can't respect those closest to you, then you can screw off. What the couple did was flat out wrong, because they wanted to get intoxicated. Also, the gift wasn't in the couple's custody. You can learn some manners before I spend a dime on you. The only reason the niece even apologized was because she wanted the gift. Finally, this couple will be divorced within 2 years. They sound immature and have no sense of responsibility or manners. Everyone's the idiot here. Walking out and taking the gift. I mean, sure, you're well within your rights to do so technically, but the gift shouldn't come with strings. And I get tired of waiting, but this whole thing seems to have been a miscommunication, not the couple purposely screwing over their guests. The bride shouldn't have apologized to try to get the gift back, then gotten mad when you said no. I do genuinely wonder if this was a venue screw-up though. I have 2 daughters. Bethany is 22 and has her life together. She just got a good job and is doing well. Abby is 24 and doesn't have her life together. She dropped out of college at 19 since she got pregnant, and then baby daddy left. I've been a huge part of the kid's life while Abby tries to get back on track. At 23, we decided that she needed to return to school since she couldn't support being a waiter. The whole time I was the free babysitter, basically raising the kid. So she had 1 year left of her higher education and messed it up again. So grandkid 2 is coming, and she said she will most likely drop out again. When she told me, I asked if she was joking. She got defensive and asked what I meant. I told her that she needed to get her crap together. It resulted in an argument, which she stormed out of after calling me an idiot. Not the idiot. Your daughter needs to contact the fathers of these kids and get them on child support, if that's available where you are. You should not be responsible for raising her children. If you want to go the tough love route, you can evict her and force her to be an adult. She's 24, she can manage. You will still be a part of her life and your grandkids' lives, but just as a grandparent, not as a full-time parent. So, clarifying, Abby is literally out sleeping around while you're providing free babysitting. If I had to argue about this, I would simply stop providing my services for free. This is the part that drops my jaw. With some very notable exceptions, it's not hard or expensive to be on birth control. Planned Parenthood's primary job is to provide affordable birth control. You've made clear to Abby that you've raised your kids, but we're willing to massively help Abby so she can get her education and be on a path to support her own kid. But Abby has completely disregarded your sacrifice of time and money for her own pleasure. You were being kind to tell Abby to get it together. Others would have let her know the gravy train has ended. You've done more for Abby than Bethany because it was understood Abby needed the extra help. Abby needs to do things herself. She needs to get a job now, she needs to get her own apartment, and she needs to secure child support for her kids now. She needs to grow up. Let her fall on her butt. Stop helping and bailing her out. Update: I have a plan now and will lay it out for her tonight. If she has the kid, she can only stay if she stays in school. She has to go to court and get child support for the first kid and do the same when the other arrives. I will only babysit twice a week and real emergency. If she needs me to babysit more, she must pay, which will be the cost of the average babysitter where I live. She needs to provide all the baby's stuff I'm not paying. If she decides to drop out, she's going to be out of the house and needs to figure it out. I, 20 female, have an older sister Laura, 29. Laura has 3 kids, the youngest of which is Freya, young grammar school age. I'm autistic and was diagnosed when I was around 11 or 12. Growing up, my family didn't really understand autism, even after my diagnosis. My parents and Laura would always mock me or get angry at my traits. I was considered disrespectful if I didn't want to sit through a loud party because I was overwhelmed. If I didn't want to eat one specific food because of its texture, I'd be punished. When I was 13, Laura recorded me having a sensory meltdown because of loud music blaring through the house for hours, and she sent it to all her friends to laugh at me. This is just an example of one of many incidents. Now I'm just a regular functioning adult living away from them. A few months ago, my niece Freya was diagnosed with autism, which I found out because Laura posted about it on Facebook. Since then, her entire social media has been exclusively lots of posts daily about how difficult it is to be the parent of a child with autism. Last weekend, Laura threw a small family party for Freya's birthday. Every 5 minutes, Laura would mention that Freya was diagnosed with autism. Eventually, my sister and I were chatting in private after the party, and she said that she felt guilty for how she treated me growing up, that she was horrible and that she wished it was different. I was matter-of-fact and agreed with her. Yes, she was horrible, and I wish it was different too, and you should feel guilty. Laura seemed shocked at my reaction and said that she was sorry. She said I'm being cold and unforgiving, and that people make mistakes and she didn't know any better. I didn't get a chance to respond because she stormed off into her room, and her husband told me it was better if I left. My parents are now on my case about everything and saying I'm not treating her like family. Not the idiot, you didn't bring it up, she did. You agreed with her self-assessment. She was probably fishing for forgiveness, or for you to tell her some platitude like, oh, it wasn't that bad, but you don't owe her that. If she apologizes and you accept her apology, maybe things could change, but you have no obligation to do so. The same thing happened with my mom. I found it's always best to agree with those self-pity statements because they drop that tactic as soon as you do it once. The last time my mom ever tried to pull the, oh, I'm such a bad mom card, I replied, actually, you were. Let's dig into that. I then tore into her for about 2 hours over how she failed me as a parent from my toddler years through that moment into my adulthood. She was shocked, but it's been almost 2 years, and I've not heard that phrase from her since. It sounds harsh, but a lifetime of manipulative BS gave me an incredibly short fuse for nonsense. That stops a lot before it gets too squirrely. Back to your sister. She disregarded your emotions in youth and almost actively relished in your suffering for clout and laughs with her friends. And now she's relishing her daughter's autism for internet clout and laughing with her friends. Only forgive her when you want to. If her apology was genuine, she would have understood this. And if your parents had a semblance of intelligence or care, they'd understand this too. She doesn't like the consequences of her adult actions. And I don't know if you've heard the term, but the autistic community has a specific term for parents who so constantly talk about their kids' autism for pity points and moan about how it's just so hard being a parent of an autistic kid, basically building their whole personality around the sacrifice they're making being a parent to their kid. It's just that, pretending to be a martyr for doing their job, even if it is in some way set to hard mode, just because they revel in the attention other people give for feeling sorry for them and painting themselves as a hero. It just bothers me. It decenters the person experiencing the epicenter of the struggle, often while actively abusing them. I feel sorry for her daughter. My ex is a teacher, and she just landed her first full-time position with the school board last fall. As a congratulations gift, I told her I would take her anywhere she wanted on vacation. I own my own company and make a bit more than she does, so I can afford to do nice things for her. She chose an African safari. She planned it all out. She chose the lodge, the excursions, and even the city we would fly in and out of to have a few days at a luxury hotel before and after the safari. Well, she also decided that she liked the company of one of the other teachers at her school more than mine. It sucked, but I understood. I worked long hours. She wanted more attention than I could provide. It was as amicable as I could make it. I decided to go on the trip anyways because it sounded kind of cool, and she'd done all the legwork. I reconnected with an old girlfriend at a Christmas party and we got back together. I invited her on the trip. We went and had a great time. She posted a lot on Instagram and has like 10,000 followers. She's not an influencer or anything. She just has a good eye for taking pictures of our city and her experiences in it. The post got back to my ex, and when I got back, she confronted me about going on the trip to spite her. I told her I hadn't even thought of her when I decided to go, invited someone else, or enjoyed the trip. She said I was an idiot because I knew she would never be able to afford a trip like I just went on, and that it was an idiot move to take another woman on a trip she planned out. Since the trip cost about half of what she makes in a year, I imagine the first part is right. As for the second part, I just thought it would be a waste to let all that planning not be used. Am I the idiot? Edit, I hadn't paid for anything yet when we went our separate ways. You ended our relationship. What I do with my time and money is no longer any of your concern. She made her choice of partners. You can go on any trip you want. Not the idiot. She has no say in what you do. Did you do it on purpose? Yes. Is it petty? Yes. Could you have done something else? Yes. You hadn't actually paid for anything yet. Should you care? No. Your ex cheated and you guys broke up. And they're probably never going to get back together, so why should you consider their feelings? Are you never going back to your favourite restaurant just because it was their favourite too? No, because it's stupid. My Aunt Esther has one daughter, my cousin Maria. Maria attended public school until 10th grade, when Esther enrolled her in a religious private school. Esther said she'd always wanted Maria to have a Christian education, but their previous circumstances hadn't allowed it. Because Esther's new husband is well off and willing to help pay, my aunt enrolled Maria in the Christian school. Maria was very against it, but she liked her previous school and had good friends there, and she didn't want to attend a Christian school. Esther still enrolled Maria, saying the academics were better, Maria would come to like her new school, and Maria would become religious. Some of the academics are objectively better than at Maria's previous school, but all of Esther's other assumptions about the Christian school were wrong. Maria has become the class clown at her school. She's disruptive to the point of regularly being removed from maths and lessons, which is a huge shift as Maria used to enjoy school and was well liked by her previous teachers. I've talked to Maria about it, and while she's never said it outright, Maria's statements indicate, to me at least, that she's trying to get kicked out of the Christian school on purpose so that she can go back to her old school. Maria has to attend summer school due to her grades and behaviour during the school year, and Esther claims they're in a fight every day over it. Esther is no longer allowing Maria to talk to her old friends from her previous school because she believes they are a bad influence, and that it will motivate Maria to socialise with her peers from the new school instead. They're fighting even more because of it, which Esther claims she didn't even know was possible. Esther came to me because she knows Maria looks up to me and said that, as a fellow Christian, I could help guide her onto the right path by convincing Maria to begin doing what Esther wants. I explained to Esther that I also went to a Christian school, and by no means was it bad, but it's not for everyone, especially when Maria was happy and didn't want to leave her previous school. I also said that while I'm a Christian and will encourage a person once to give it a chance, I recognize that you can't force anyone to share your beliefs, and if they don't want to, you need to respect their wishes. I told Esther that if she doesn't accept that Maria will not be exactly the person Esther wants her to be, she may lose Maria forever. Esther was very upset and told several family members who reached out to me. They said Esther is acting out of genuine fear for her only child because of what she believes happens to people who are not religious like her. So what I'm telling Esther to do isn't as easy as I'm making it out to be, and I was cruel and insensitive to her beliefs. Am I the idiot? To believe that if your children do not choose your belief system, they will burn in a terrible nightmare forever is awful. You are not the idiot. You aren't being cruel and insensitive to her beliefs. You aren't telling her her beliefs are wrong or that she needs to change them. You are being honest. You're telling her that having a child does not guarantee a compliant mini-me that will follow in her footsteps. Which school she goes to is a very silly hill to sacrifice a relationship on, especially because her daughter was doing well at the other school. Exactly. Maria probably won't be around long enough for Mom to force her into anything after she turns 18. Colleges look at grades, and Maria is tanking her grades because she's been pulled from the school she liked and the friends she had. Her irrational fear is ruining her daughter's life and future. She needs to be told how terrible her decision is. Aunt Esther needs a reality check. Trying to control Maria won't solve anything. It'll only breed resentment.